You know what they say, if Don't Fret calls, Dargs is gonna be right there to answer it. So it's been a minute since I've uploaded anything on this channel again. I do apologize for that. There's just not really been anything to talk about lately. There was like a Rainbow Friends lawsuit that went on, I think, but it's too late to talk about that now, and I don't think anybody would be interested in hearing about that since it happened like 3 weeks ago now. I missed that since I was on vacation, so I do apologize for that. I try to cover stuff like that on this channel when I can, but you know, stuff happens. Though I am fresh on the case of this one because this has only happened just a few hours ago. I've already made 2 other videos on Don't Fret and their really funny practices when making their game, but I was scared to make another follow-up video even if something did happen because I didn't want to feel like I was milking it or anything like that. But with this, I can't help but make a new video because this is the funniest outcome I think any of this could have led up to, and you will start to see exactly why really soon. But before we get into it, I would really appreciate if you guys would hit like that little subscribe button right there. You know, it'd be cool if we got to 10K by the end of the year, and I do like making these videos a lot when I do get the chance to make them, so you know, that'd be helpful. Okay, but yay! So, what actually happened with our good friends Rocket Music and Don't Fret this time? Quite possibly the worst decision they have ever made, and like an actual PR nightmare for whoever made this post. They did not take my advice of firing whoever runs the Twitter account, and they have actually doubled down entirely. So we've already gone very much in length with all the weird AI stuff that has been in their game and stuff like that already. And if you're not familiar with that, I do already have like 2 videos going over that entire situation. So if you're interested in all of this, absolutely go check out those 2 videos before you go into this one, because this is like the epitome of everything that happened in those completely laid out. So it all starts with a Twitter post, like everything Don't Fret related seems to. And you know, their drama has been pretty quiet on all fronts for a while now. So this post definitely caught me off guard, and I won't stall anymore here. I'll just read it. Here's the deal. AI is here to stay. Learn to use it as a tool or you lose. This goes for every industry, not just music and animation. It's a tool. Boycotting it is like you standing in the way of Ford when the automobile was created. Stop fighting it. Abusing it for quick wills is already obvious. That isn't how it's going to work. Figure it out! Oh boy, there is so much to unpack here, man. Holy shit. It looks like Don't Fret and Rocket Music had just had enough and completely crashed out on everybody. Instead of not using AI anymore, or maybe even just using it in the background without letting it be known, they're deciding to publicly double down to an audience that very clearly hates this stuff. And it seems like they learned their mistake pretty quickly, as this post is now deleted at the time of me making this, but thankfully there were a few people that were able to archive it. So, you know, instant regret, as their next posts have been completely unrelated to Don't Fret at all, but we'll get into one of the posts that they made after because it can be used to make a pretty good point against these guys. So I'll get into that in a bit. First, let's unpack this entire statement and just like go over everything that they said. Now, this may be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I don't necessarily disagree with the prospect of AI being used as a tool for creative projects. I think AI has just become this very big, scary buzzword everybody uses and just assumes that they're talking about generative AI every single time it's used. But there are genuinely creative uses for AI in the creative process that I do think go overlooked a lot of the time. Like, the best example that I could always point to something like this was the Spider-Verse movie, actually. From what I'm able to gather, that movie used machine learning to animate frames in between other frames to make a smoother transition between the two. And that's something that's obviously been very notorious in the animation process. So I think that's a very creative workaround to just making the workflow faster, and is actually a good example of AI being used as a tool in the creative process, like they're trying to give out here. But when we look at Don't Fret's track record of using AI, stuff like this is obviously not what they're referring to. Instead of using AI to fill in tedious parts of the work process, what they use AI for is just like generating pictures in order to use as concept art, which, mind you, didn't even work for them. I don't know if you remember this, but let me just play this portion of the YouTube short for when they were creating the design for Fret originally.
Now, I'm not a graphic designer, so I did what many other indie devs do, turn to AI to help get the gears turning. I didn't really like what I was getting, and it wasn't doing anything for me that I couldn't do myself, so I decided to just do it myself.
So, like, they don't even have a point here. They were using AI to try to create the design of the character, and it just wasn't giving them any good results. So, they did what they should have done at the very first place and hire a concept artist in order to take care of this. Literally debunking themselves in 2 different scenarios. I do not know who the person is that made this post here, and I don't know if they're the same person that made that YouTube short, but surely they had to have been aware of that. My buddy Chasington actually made this exact point before the post was deleted, and that's what actually made me think about this at first. And that ended up ratioing their original post, obviously. And who knows, maybe that actually contributed to them deleting their post. They also continue to go on to show their blatant lack of any sort of self-awareness or brains in the slightest in the replies. Some of them still being up at the time of writing this, which is really funny. The one I really want to point out in particular is this interaction with a user saying, "This is gonna do wonders for the reputation of Don't Fret, Lamau," to which Rocket Music just responded with a heart emoji. Like, this is very clearly sarcasm. I don't know. Do they have an AI running the Twitter account too? Is that why they're like this? Did the AI that's running the account go rogue and start posting pro-AI propaganda? That would be really funny, and I don't even think that's, like, out of the possibility at this point. But if it isn't, it just goes to show the complete lack of self-awareness or being able to reflect at all that this team has. And it's just very unfortunate to see, because I genuinely was rooting for them to just get better and stay out of controversies like this going forward. There are truly talented people that are currently working on the Don't Fret game, and I really wish that their works weren't being watered down by posts like this. And, you know, there is a little bit of an argument that you can make that maybe an aspiring game dev might use AI for concept art secretly because they can't afford a concept artist, which is definitely a bit of a morally gray area still, but at the same time, I would be a lot more forgiving in a situation like that as opposed to, like, an entire team that clearly has a really big funding behind it. Which makes me want to get into one really tiny controversy that also came from, like, a few weeks ago with Rocket Music. So, as you may have already heard, Skibidi Toilet was added to Fortnite. I feel like I don't really need to go into that. It's been talked to death about already. If you got the skin, you got the skin. I got the skin. It's awesome. But the actual adding of Skibidi Toilet to Fortnite is not the main thing I want to focus on here. Moreover, the fact that Rocket Music actually made a Skibidi Fortnite song, which obviously isn't that great. It's the same Rocket Music slop that they've been putting out for like the past 10 years. Truly moving lyrics here, obviously a masterpiece that will rival the likes of To Pimp a Butterfly or Chromacopia for the next decade. And I wouldn't even have a problem with this song existing if it weren't for the posts that I read on Twitter afterwards about the song. So apparently it got backlash, so Rocket Music had to respond with this. "Dear everyone with a negative comment on our Skibidi Fortnite song, our original Skibidi Toilet song is our #1 song on YouTube and continues to be, and provides for our families to help continue what we love. Have some fun. We are." Which is just them transparently saying they made the song for money. And typically I wouldn't have a problem with that, but if you're attentive, you probably realize what the problem is now. If you're going to make creations that are explicitly made for money to fund other things, why the fuck are you using AI generative imagery to make concept art? Make it make sense. How are you going to make things that are exclusively just to generate profit and then cut more corners on the things that you should be spending that profit on? It's the entire plight of slop channels and stuff like that, and I know that I can be kind of like considered a hypocrite for this, because these videos take no effort. I make these in like 2 hours tops. But whatever funding and revenue that comes from this channel gives me more time to make things on my main that just keeps stepping up in quality. Being able to have even a semblance of a revenue stream on this gives me the opportunity to do stuff like hire editors that'll help with the process of making videos faster, or just let me be in a more stable position so I can continue putting a lot more time into the things that are made on that channel. Which it should be the same philosophy that Rocket Music should be using with Don't Fret. Make these shitty slop songs that are going to just farm engagement and views and able to fund the project that you're actually passionate about. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't make a Skibidi toilet Fortnite song and not expect criticism, when you then go on to still cut corners and use AI to continue making the game that you're currently developing. It's a disrespect not to just your fans, but the people on the team that are actually putting their heart and soul into Don't Fret. And the fact that they were so tone deaf to not realize that and make that original statement just really goes to show the character behind the people that are making this game. It's just a very unfortunate situation to bear witness to, and I was really hoping they'd learn their lesson going forward. In conclusion, I don't think I can even say that I'm rooting for this team at this point. Like, I can't support this anymore. I'm sorry. My condolences to all the real artists that are currently on the team making this game right now. You guys deserve better treatment from your boss and to not be disrespected like this, and if you haven't been paid already, I really hope you start demanding that soon. Despite being an independent studio, they're having the same mindset that like Disney would have when it goes about treating their workers. And no matter how small you are, I just personally don't see that as acceptable in the slightest, no matter what. So yeah, that's the Don't Fret situation being insane / crazy once again. 3,000 likes and I'll get Rocket Music to revert the design of Fret back to this. Okay, anyways, I've been Dargs, and Rocket Music mid, go subscribe to S'more instead.
Do not jump scare me.
Oh, that'll leave a...
Leave a what?